All right, it is 6 o'clock, and we'll call this meeting to order. Can we get a roll call, Greg?
Derek? Here. Katie?
Here.
Greg? Here. Stephen?
Here.
Lane?
Here. All right, if you'll stand and join me in the flag salute and the prayer. Flag salute. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to gather and talk about the important issues that face our community and face our school. And we ask that you give us the guidance and the wisdom to make the decisions that are best for the children of our school district. And we ask all these things in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, moving on to item 2, public participation. Pursuant to board policy BEDR, members of the public shall be allowed to attend all meetings of the Board of Education. In addition, the Board of Education will have an item on every regular board meeting agenda that affords citizens the right to speak. Any individual wishing to address the board shall sign in with the board minutes clerk prior to the start of the meeting. The president of the board will then acknowledge only those individuals whose names are listed to address the board. The board will set a maximum time of 21 minutes at each regular meeting for public comment. Those wishing to speak will be limited to 3 minutes. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they signed in with the board minutes clerk. The president of the board may extend the time limits if necessary. And so we have one on the agenda tonight, and Jason Thomas. All right, Jason. And wherever you feel comfortable, and we could, perfect right there.
Sure.
And I've got a 3-minute timer, and I'll give you a 30-second cue, and we ask that 3 minutes that you be finished. All right, so whenever you're ready.
Okay. Dear Honorable School Board Member and respected Piedmont teachers and the administrators, OCO, my name is Jason Thomas. I, at one time, had 6 kids in the school district. I have so many children because my wife and I adopted 4 of them from the Cherokee foster system. I have 3 sons and 3 daughters, all members of the Cherokee Nation, including myself. My family came to Oklahoma on the government-sponsored death march from the home in Gillette, Georgia. My great-great-grandmother carried my baby great-grandmother in her arms for hundreds of miles. We lost 50% of our elders and most of our family possessions. The government gave us our family name when we finally registered to trade as a non-full-blood Indian because we were starving to death. Eventually, she was a full-blood. I'm descended from Lucy half-breed of the Wild Potato tribe, a name given to us by the government because we couldn't speak English. My father attended Sequoia Indian School where he was not allowed to speak our native language or sing our family songs. They cut our hair and assimilated us. I only tell you this to show you that when Dr. James White and Principal Ruth and David Jewell kicked my son out of school for a racial slur, it hurt my family so deeply. After my investigation into this, I found my son's true offense. When replying to a group text from my house on Saturday, he was asked if he had agreed or disagreed with a Equality Act, which he replied, exactly, I don't agree they should have equality. This sounds rough, but when I simply communicated with my 9th grade son, he said he was afraid that the act would make him share a shower or bathrooms with the opposite sex. An honest opinion, an honest fear from a 15-year-old boy. Mr. Ruth and David Jewell called my son out of the lunchroom by his beloved baseball coach to grab him in front of the entire school, and then brought him into the office where the school psychiatrist and principal waited to evaluate him. According to my son, they asked him why he believed such an awful thing about the Equality Act. My son was scared to death and remained quiet, as he always does, because he's a good, godly son. They suspended him for 3 days and ordered him to write an essay on hate speech, wanted us to undergo anti-bully program, and finally, he had his beloved coach run him until he threw up shirtless because he disgraced the Wildcats logo. I don't know what racism charge will do to my son in college. I don't know what Dr. White will do to retaliate against us because he does retaliate against people who speak up. I'm here to stand up for these mama bears that come here and there's buckets of tears that cried and you don't listen, you don't communicate. Dr. James White's not into education, but into re-education, as it's always been since the Trail of Tears. I humbly, respectfully ask for you, honorable members of the board, to terminate his contract so we can move on and heal this community. The Cherokee elders always hear from the people. We have a saying, and the disco why. It means, what are the people saying? We need this kind of communication and open conversation so we can talk about conversational qualities like, I ask for more time, please.
Finish
Okay.
it, please.
We'll go back on the Trail of Tears. This is where we came from. I feel like it's still here. The Trail of Tears is here, and he's leading the way with the government charge. I want to leave you with the song of my people that was on the death march. Windeyaho, windeyaho, windeya, oh, 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 hi-ya, 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 windeya. Thank you.
All right, as you know, we can't respond, but thank you. All right, moving on to item 3, board reports.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. Last month, we reported on our Intergage survey and some site surveys. This week, and last month, we had talked about a plan for our principals to come and address some of these issues and their plans moving forward. So we have our principals joining us tonight to do that. We're going to start out with the Early Childhood Center and Mrs. Jennifer Carver.
Okay, good evening. I am Jennifer Carver, and I have the pleasure of being the principal at the Early Childhood Center. Our Engage survey conducted in October of 2022, 44 out of 63 of our employees responded. 26% was unfavorable and 62% favorable. In order to address the concerns, there we are. In order to address the concerns of our staff, we prepared an internal survey. The survey was sent to 67 staff members with 31 responding. Our survey results identify these strengths: that our ECC staff feel like our staff and our school community care for and support one another. They feel supported by their administrators. However, there is always opportunity for growth. Ms. Campbell, sorry, seems to not want to click. So according to our survey, these are the areas that our teachers would like to be involved in and have opportunities to find appropriate class coverage when a teacher is absent, identify find support for student behavior, find time for educators to meet more frequently, and to determine if appropriate guidance lessons in our classrooms are age appropriate and if they're helpful for the students in our building. So our plan of action is to whenever coverage is required at ECC, we will continue to have our TAs cover our classes. They will split classes only when coverage cannot be provided. We will add monthly staff meetings to address grade level needs. We will start classroom-based guidance levels and trial it this semester. So basically what we're trying to determine is our counselors' time best used to do guidance lessons or small groups? Once we have that data, then we will develop a guidance schedule for the 23-24 school year. We would like to request additional professional development for our staff regarding our student behaviors and an ECC-based professional behavior specialist. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Carver. Mrs. Warner, Northwood Elementary.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jennifer Warner. I'm the principal at Northwood. So based on our, I always want to say Intergage survey, we had 33 out of 42 employees that responded, which came out to 78.6%. We had 24% unfavorable, 12% neutral, 64% favorable. So based on our survey, our strengths that we gleaned from that was that, excuse me, that our staff, they do feel trusted and to do their best work and that they are taken seriously. And that they feel supported by their administrators and that their concerns are heard. So that was, we were very happy with that. So as Mrs. Carver was saying for the ECC, we sent out another survey to kind of, excuse me, I'm nervous, to clear up some questions based on the survey because people sometimes don't elaborate. So we wanted to know, tell me a little bit more about why you said what you said. So some things that they elaborated on is that they wanted to connect more across the building. We meet weekly with every single grade level to talk about kids, to talk about data, to talk about our strengths and ways we can grow, and they would like more time to be together as a building. So we're going to work on that, and then more guidance on providing student interventions. So these are our action steps. Monthly faculty meetings for faculty and staff to interact and build relationships. And we would really like to give them the opportunity to lead those meetings, to talk about what they want to talk about, share what they're doing in their grade levels, because they don't always get to see each other throughout the day. And then for our interventions, provide some more professional development opportunities and to help teachers identify best practices so that they can help their students grow and develop the skills that they need to be successful. So that's Northwood. Sorry.
Thank you, Jennifer. Brandy Skakowski, Piedmont Elementary.
Hi, I'm Brady Skakowski. I'm the principal at Piedmont Elementary, and we too also took the Intergage survey. We had 25 out of 43 employees take it, so obviously that wasn't nearly as great as some other schools. So when asked why they didn't take it, a lot of the teachers had said we didn't really have any complaints or suggestions to give at this time. So that was something we saw as a favor, but it doesn't show up as a positive necessarily. As you can see, unfavorable was 35% and favorable was 54%. So we wanted to look at our strengths, and so what we gained from that, we learned that our teachers said they trusted their administrators and the care that we provided for the employees and students, and that the teachers enjoy their students and their coworkers, which is always a positive for sure. But also we found our areas of growth that we wanted to really focus in on. And one thing that we noticed from the survey that we created to kind of hone in on specific things was that our teachers really have the desire to feel very connected. Again, kind of like what Northwood was saying, we do the individual weekly meetings, but they want more of the whole group faculty meetings. So we have planned our very first faculty meeting for this semester will be on February 7th. So then that way we can do some team building. We can talk about just things that teachers are wanting. They can express their needs and celebrate their successes in the school and out of the school, because today some of our teachers did receive grants, so we want to be able to give shout outs to those people as well. And then another thing was just an opportunity for colleagues to connect and just create a great working atmosphere. So overall, building our school culture and that community that we have. So our action steps, we kind of already talked a little bit about those. The staff meetings or the staff committee meetings that we will have. Also, they did want to create more committees, so that's something else that we're focusing on as well. So that way people have more of an opportunity to get involved and their voice can be heard. And then again, for the staff to work together to share their ideas and then dedicate that time, even during professional development, maybe if it's just 10 or 15 minutes, to spend some time team building, so that way they can feel a little bit more connected and get to know their colleagues a little more. And that is Piedmont Elementary.
Thank you. Tyler Bodell, Stone Ridge Elementary.
Hello, I'm the proud principal of Stone Ridge Elementary, and so we had about 31 out of 46 employees take the Intergage survey at the beginning of the year, and so we have a 27% unfavorable rate and a 57% favorable rate. And so one of the things that we wanted to focus on when I first took this job was listening to my staff and listening to their desires and their concerns, and so that was actually one thing that they felt was a strength at the beginning of the year, was that the administrators were listening to ideas, and we took some of their ideas and made some immediate changes, but then we also we have some changes that we're slowly putting into place, but that made me feel really good. Our opportunities for growth is they want the meetings to be more productive. useful or have clear area focus. And so what we did with those meetings is we've created our team collaboration meetings, which is our weekly meetings that each grade level has. And we wanted to maximize the amount of time that they had with each team member. And so during that time, we created clear agendas for each of those meetings, and each week of the month has a clear focus. And so as we implement that, the topics are clearly communicated ahead of time so that the teachers can come prepared. We also created a mid-year checkpoint survey that we shared on January 4th, and the preliminary results of that survey show that the teachers feel like our meetings have been more productive and more beneficial to them as the year has gone on. We really want to make sure that we're focusing on how the students are learning, not just how we're teaching. And so that was one of the focuses there. And then by the end of the year, I want to be able to have individual meetings with my each staff member in my building to kind of gauge where they feel like we're at as the year went on, and kind of what their desires are for Stone Ridge, for them as they move forward in the school year. So that's kind of an outline of what we've done and where we're heading to.
Thank you, Mr. Bodell. James Keaton, Piedmont Intermediate.
All right, thank you and good evening, everybody. For Piedmont Intermediate, we had 32 out of 54 employees for a 59% response rate, which is a little bit lower than we would like, and so we did follow up with those individual conversations with our teacher leadership team to dive further into some of these questions and some of the information we gleaned from it. One of the great things that we saw, and one of the strengths that came through this, was the teachers' response of feeling that they are able to work more efficiently and effectively within this school year. And why that is so important to us is based on all the teacher input last year, we were able to implement several changes, including, and the biggest one of all, of course, moving 5th grade to one end of the building and 6th grade exclusively to another, so we could insulate our students and give them ownership of a space. That was only possible based on teacher input and their desire to make this work, but the addition of 4 more classrooms, the addition of another full-time administrator has allowed all of these things to benefit our students directly, retaining more academic classroom time, decreasing off-task behaviors during transitions. All of those things have been a very positive piece for us this year, and so we were glad to see that that was a strength that they acknowledged from last year to this year as that growth element. Our opportunity for growth came across as new employees feeling undervalued in their ability to work to their full potential. This came as a bit of a surprise to us, and that's why this is so important, and getting the feedback from the rest of our teachers has been so valuable. So again, when we met with our teacher leadership team, our roundtable, we dove more deeply into this and what this meant and where this came from. And I'm glad we did that because our small leadership team had a different thought of what this meant. What they found was many of those teachers felt like they had so many tasks to complete and it goes so quickly that they weren't able to be an effective teacher in their first years in our building. And so knowing that, we were able to develop some overall plans for our veteran teachers and also our newer teachers to help them meet that potential. And those include just asking teachers individually, what would you like to be able to do that you're not able to do? And what is getting in the way of that? What's preventing you from feeling that you are valuable and meeting your potential in our building? Next, having more opportunities for teacher-led, grade-level academic interventions and providing all the supports and training to make those things happen. One of the things they felt inadequate in and could not meet their potential was meeting the needs of students where they currently are. They felt overwhelmed. They see the gaps, but they don't know what they should do to solve those. So by developing those initiatives and those interventions and providing all the resources they need, we hope to ensure their success. Then we want to facilitate more of those teacher passion projects for those veteran teachers so they can bring those things that they love into the classroom, into advisory, into students' lives. So whether it's gardening, geocaching, weather systems, whatever it is that they feel students would love and makes them feel like they are contributing more. And then finally, encouraging more teacher-led initiatives and activities for the teachers. Those faded away during COVID, and they missed them. And so facilitating that, allowing it, encouraging it so that teachers can become better colleagues inside and outside of school, and then benefit the students by having that positive environment in school.
Thank you, Mr. Keaton. Mrs. Aaron Pruitt, Middle School of Piedmont.
All right, good evening. So we kind of took a little different approach at the middle school, and we spent some time combing through the comments. The administrative team took some time. We had lots of comments. We had lots of employees that participated in the survey. We had 75% participate, and when you look at the enhanced view over there, you can see that we have 22% that are unfavorable, up to 70% that are favorable. So that was exciting to see, and it was encouraging to read through the comments that were listed. So several of the strengths that we noticed were that our staff and teachers feel generally supported by the building administration. That's myself, Coach Ford, and Coach Dillard. We do enjoy working together and with our team. The second one there is that we feel encouraged, or that the teachers feel encouraged to try new tools within their classroom. We do encourage that a lot. We ask them all of the time, make sure you tell us when you're doing that. We want to come and see you in action, especially if you're trying something new. And then the third one, that they feel that the building administrators support and coach them to be their best and challenge them to grow instructionally. That has been a focus that the three of us administrators have had in our building this year, is to be strong instructional leaders in our building. So I'm glad they feel supported in that area. So as we were looking through the comments, trying to find ways that we can improve and grow, the two areas that we found were that the teachers want to feel that their role is more meaningful. I know several of our other leaders have mentioned that as well tonight. Meaningfulness was something that several of them mentioned. So, and another one was that they just want their contributions within the building and the community to be celebrated. So let's take a look at what action steps that we have planned for the middle school. We have put a few things in place already this year to start doing some of these things. So we are going to continue encouraging our staff. We do staff shout-outs. We have a Google form that they can click on and do a staff shout-out. They get a little certificate. We try to do it in front of their class so that the kids can celebrate them too, but that's nominated within the building, not by administrators. And then we also do a weekly game ball. We have coaches as administrators with me, so we have some game ball access. And so we have them sign the game ball, and we pass it each week to a different employee who has done something within the building. So we've been doing those things. We want to start showcasing them in action. So in my weekly newsletter that I send out to my staff, we plan to showcase them, put some pictures, and maybe a brief description of what they're actually doing within the class, because our teachers don't get to see each other in action. They meet in department, but they don't actually get to see each other teach. So we want to incorporate that. And then we also want to encourage our employees to give input. So to share with our leadership team if they need something, if they want something to look a little different. We have a lot of things different at the middle school this year, as you know. So we've had to change a lot of things, but we need their input if something needs to be changed. So those are the areas that we're looking at continuing and growing in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pruitt. I would also like to thank Mrs. Pruitt for how smooth the middle school is running, considering all the construction. She's doing a great job with all of our staff over there of keeping that going during construction. Mr. Jewell, Piedmont High School.
Yes, sir. Hey, before I get going, I want to say a couple of thank yous to some of these people behind the scenes. Riley Thomas is the one who really helped kind of organize this whole structure. And I think it's important we give her a shout out. She's our communications director, and if she's watching, I'm sure she's at home with her baby, but I really say thank you, because this is something that I'm not good at. I'm not good at these slideshows, so thank you to her. And also thank you to Mrs. Campbell for giving us the kind of the tools and how to look at this survey. I mean, she's the one who helped us kind of guide through this Intergage survey, which I think is important to start with. You know, when we look at this survey, especially at the high school level, there was 64 out of the 94 employees I have at the high school that actually looked at the survey and actually filled out the survey. So we had about 68% of them that filled it out, but it was hard because you had to find certain trends or themes that you wanted to look at. And so if you have 68 people all filling out a survey, you're only going to get about 4 or 5 that maybe say a similar idea. So it was hard for us to navigate through, and Mrs. Campbell helped guide us and say, hey, listen, look through this, dive in. My assistant principals were fantastic in helping kind of analyze this data. So, I mean, we've been really blessed with some great people to work with. So I want to start with site-based. According to our survey, we had 2 things that we felt like were the best at Piedmont High School. And the first one is the teachers report that they established great relationships with kids, which is one of our big focuses. And I hope and I believe that you guys would agree that having that relationship, that bond, is a critical component to be successful anywhere in life. And so that's the number one. The second one is making a focus at that learning, that the students' voices are heard and they feel welcomed at Piedmont High School. And I think that's an important part also here, that we're student-centered, but we're also focusing and we're listening to what the kids are saying. So that's a big part. Opportunities for growth. This is a part I'm talking about, how when you look at the 64 people, there's 4 or 5 that had common trends. And these common trends we saw was that some of the teachers said they feel like their voices need to be heard. And I thought it was interesting that it's almost, you know, the students felt great, but the teachers felt like they need to be heard more. So we've already initiated some committees, some organizations, some groups to get together and say, hey, now we've kind of focused on students. We're going to start focusing on teachers as well and kind of get those combined together. And then the second one, they talked about wanting to share professional experiences. And I think that's something we're going to establish this coming up soon when we have our next PD in February. We've already talked about having those groups come in and give us, like, what do we want to do? What do we want to know as teachers to help us be better? So action steps, it talks about creating committees. We already started that process. We had an admin meeting or a meeting today with faculty to discuss kind of that first step. We'll send a survey out later this week. And then also, you know, talking about PD, what is something they want to know and to be better at moving forward during professional development. So that's it from Piedmont High School. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell.
Appreciate everybody, all the effort that went into putting this together, Riley and Ms. Campbell and the principals. One of the hardest things to do is to sit in your spot, and then you already have enough negativity coming at you, and then when you're asked to do a staff survey, one of the hardest things is to, you know, we like hearing the good stuff, but to look at the negative and really reflect and understand how we can make things better in the building. And so that takes a lot on your part, takes some mental toughness. So we appreciate that, and it benefits the kids. So thank you.
All right, thanks again, principals. That was a great job, informative. A few other things on the board report that we have. It is a short one this month. Enrollment, we're up almost 40 kids since last month. So a lot of enrollment over the break. Construction is ongoing. Middle school is moving right on along. Installation of the gym roof is underway. CMU block walls being installed around the gym. We've got some plumbing started. So a lot of progress being made. We still have some punch list items on the Wildcat Athletic Center to go. Interior signage is scheduled for this week. That was back ordered. The exterior signage is now up. And we've been pleased with the number of events we've hosted so far in the WAC. We've gotten a lot of compliments on it, and I think our kids have really enjoyed it. I think our parents have enjoyed it, everything from basketball games so far to band concerts. And I think next week, Mr. Jewell has his first student assembly in that, where we can get all of our kids from the high school in one location. And so that'll be a first in a long time that we've all been able to fit in one facility without having to sit on top of each other. But I think the band concerts were very good with the floor covering. Mr. Bill Yu, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Blankenship did a good job of finding that floor covering and making sure it got down adequately to protect the floor. But also, I think our band folks would agree it really helped the sound much better than we've had before with that. So we're looking forward to more events being hosted in there.
Elevator works.
And the elevator does work. We have had to start using the key more on it because we had a lot of kids that were overusing the elevator, so to speak.
So looking at the enrollment, with all the new housing additions coming in, and I know we've talked about this at other meetings, but, does it seem to be trending even more so, like exponentially than what it was?
I think so. I think we go through these kind of, we never have really a valley, but I think some years it's bigger than others, and I think this summer could be one of the bigger ones. But a lot of, in growth, but a lot of those, they're starting on streets now, so we're still a year off on some of those, but some of those like around, Mrs. Carver knows around ECC are starting to go up pretty fast, and that's been, what, a 3-year process of that addition, and we're starting to see some enrollment from that. So it's not overnight, but some of the additions they're pretty quick.
Yeah, my mic on, sorry. Any other questions? Board reports, Derek, Greg,
No, sir. No.
Katie?
No.
Steve? Okay, thank you, appreciate that. All right, let's move on to item 4, executive session. A, vote to convene or not to convene into executive session pursuant to 25 OS 307B1 for the purpose of discussing employment as listed on attachment A and for the purpose of discussing the superintendent's evaluation and contract. Looking for a motion.
Move to go to executive session.
Okay, motion by Greg,
I second.
second by Derek. We get a vote?
Derek?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Greg, yes. Stephen?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes. All right, it is 6:31, and we will enter into executive session. In here, correct?
No, we'll do.
Summer, are we good? Okay. You good, Tom? All right, it is 9:29, and the board has returned to open session at 9:29 PM. The board entered into executive session at 6:31 PM pursuant to 25 OS 307B1 to discuss employment as listed on attachment A and for the purpose of discussing the superintendent's evaluation and contract. Those present in executive session were Derek Jones, Katie Cornman, Greg Duffy, Stephen Cox, Lane Jones, and James White was also present for a portion of the session. No action was taken by the board. Moving on to item 5, action items, discuss and take possible action on employment as listed on attachment A. Looking for a motion for attachment A.
We'll make a motion to approve attachment A.
Okay, got a motion by Stephen to approve.
I second.
Derek, second. Can we get a vote?
Derek,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
Greg, yes, Stephen,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes. All right, moving on to item B, discuss and take possible action on the superintendent's contract. Is there a motion for item B? Once, twice. No motion on item B. So moving on to item C, discuss and take vote to give or not give the superintendent the evaluation discussed in executive session. Looking for a motion for item C.
I move to give the superintendent the evaluation discussed in executive session.
All right, got a motion by Katie,
I second.
second by Derek. Can we get a vote?
Derek,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
Greg, yes, Stephen,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes. All right, moving on to item D, discuss and take vote to give or not give the superintendent the document discussed in executive session. Looking for a motion for item D.
I move to give the superintendent the document discussed in an executive session.
Motion by Katie,
I second.
second by Derek. Can we get a vote?
Derek,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
Greg, yes, Stephen,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes. All right, moving on to item 6, consent agenda. Discuss and then vote to approve all consent items. These items may be approved by one board motion unless any board member desires to have a separate vote on any or all of these items.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda.
Got a motion by Stephen to approve,
I'll second it.
second by Katie. You gonna vote?
Derek,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
Greg, yes, Stephen,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes. All right, item 7, new business, discussion and possible action regarding new business. This business, in accordance with 25 OS Section 311A9, is limited to any matter not known about or which could not have been reasonably foreseen prior to the time of posting this agenda. No new business? All right, no new business. All right, item 8, adjournment. For a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, got a motion by Derek,
Second.
second by Greg. Can we get a vote?
Derek,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
Greg, yes, Stephen,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes. All right, the time is 9:33.